Welcome everyone to otakusandgeeks.com. Justin here, back with more superhero gaming. This is episode 9, and we are back in the Marvel Universe. Not just the Marvel Universe, my friends. Today we're going to be covering the first MCU game ever, which is Iron Man, which came out in 2008 for your console and handheld devices, which aka Nintendo DS. And this was released in 2008 alongside the Marvel Cinematic Universe debut film, Iron Man. And this was developed by Secret Level, later Sega Studios San Francisco, and of course, it was published by Sega. With the massive success, though, and the expectations were really high for this tie in to deliver an authentic superhero Iron Man experience. Unfortunately, the game just has some standout moments, but it largely failed to capture the magic of the source material and the MCU in general. So, we're going to talk a little bit about it. So, let's kick it off with story. All right, speaking of story, my friends, so the game's plot loosely followed the events of the Iron Man movie, just like every video game that's based off a movie. They, of course, take creative liberties to expand the narrative. Otherwise, you will literally probably have a 2 hour game to play. And players step into the shoes, of course, of Tony Stark. And after escaping captivity and building his prototype armor, Tony sets out to dismantle Stark Industries' weapons sold to terrorists and rogue nations. The game introduces villains from the Iron Man comics, including Titanium Man, Crimson Dynamo, and Melter, giving fans of the source material some fan service. And these additions do diversify the story. However, the plot relatively stays shallow, only serving as a framework for the missions rather than a compelling narrative. So basically, adding all of these additional villains from Iron Man comics is just it really does come off as padding as compared to like a game like the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy where you had various other villains, but it kind of served into the overall narrative of those particular games. This one just kind of feels like, oh, we need to pad this game up a little bit. And Stark's journey lacks the depth that the film character counterpart does have. And much of the storytelling is delivered through uninspired dialogue and cutscenes. And I will talk a little bit about the dialogue and voice acting in this one. But let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. So the core gameplay revolves around flying and fighting as Iron Man. Players control Tony Stark in his iconic suit, engaging in a mix of aerial dogfights, ground-based combat, and objective-focused missions. The controls attempt, and I mean it attempts, to replicate the freedom of flight, allowing players to soar through the skies, hover, and land seamlessly. Iron Man's suit is customizable, letting players tweak weapons and defenses. And the idea of tailoring the armor to the suit different missions is commendable, and it gives the game a small layer of strategy. However, that all sounds good and gravy, right? The execution is where things falter, my friends. The controls, oh my god, are they clunky? Especially when switching between flight and ground combat. The targeting system is so inconsistent, often locking onto unintended enemies or objects, and it leads to so much frustration during hectic battles, especially especially the aerial dogfights are very challenging and struggling because of the controls. I can't tell you how many times I am trying to chase after a helicopter or a drone, and he is just not responding the way he's supposed to respond. It's not fluid at all. The battles get very, very hectic, and then the missions are repetitive. Typically, it's boiling down to destroy X targets, defend Y locations, and it gets old so quickly. Not to mention, there are glimpses of potential moments when soaring through the skies and blasting enemies really do feel empowering. And like there's moments in there where you're like, man, I am Iron Man. This game is great. But just the unpolished mechanics is just it's not it. It's not it. It doesn't do well, and it's very difficult to really kind of recommend a game like that where you're flying and then it's not responsive, the targeting system sucks, and not to mention the melee combat when you're on the ground levels is just atrocious. So it's not a really fun game to play. Excellent concept, just poor execution. Now let's talk a little bit about those graphics. So visually, I personally like it, but it is a mixed bag. Keep in mind this is in 2008. The suit models are detailed, and the game does a decent job of replicating the environment seen in the movie, including Stark's lab, a desert battleground. The explosion and energy effects during combat are flashy, adding some spectacle to the gameplay. And we got his classic Iron Man superhero landing as well. But however, the presentation feels dated for even 2008 standards. The character models, especially the human NPCs, lack detail and polish. The environments are bland and sparsely populated, giving the game a lifeless quality. Textures can be muddy at times, and there's a couple frame rate drops, by the way, at times. And there's just a variety of lack of variety in level design, with many areas looking like it's very samey, I should say. The game also suffers from those performance issues during busy combat, like when you have a lot of enemies on screen. Goodbye, frame rate just drops. And for a superhero game that's supposed to make you feel like you're Iron Man piloting a high tech suit of armor, it lacks that visual flair that you expect from something like this. I personally, though, even just like replaying it, grab like if you know me here at talkersofgeeks.com, then you know I'm not the biggest graphic person like, oh my god, this has to look like new age, new technology, looks amazing, especially when I'm playing the 2008 game. I thought it was decent, but even I have to agree that yes, it is very texture wise, lighting wise, it's just not that good. It is truly a mixed bag when it comes to the graphics. Now let's talk a little bit about the voice acting and sound. So you like I alluded to, so let's check out a clip here.
Oh, there he goes again. Give it a rest, Shakespeare.
What is the measure of a man? Is it the fruit of his labors? Or the secrets of his heart? Is it the person he is? Or the hero he could become?
Built great weapons for them.
We're getting out of here.
Oh, yes? Not so easy. They will want that suit, I think.
Yeah, well, good luck getting it.
Voice acting wasn't the best. I felt the actors just kind of were just there, just like, okay, we're filming and we probably are don't have enough time. Let's just do our lines, get in the booth, leave it, and that's it. I will say though that the music was pretty good. I did like the music in the game, and of course some of the sound designs with the explosions and of the environments and things of that nature. That was good. But yeah, the voice acting and the dialogue just very, very underwhelming, very generic. But let us wrap this up, my friends, because Iron Man had potential to be something really good and to be something that the MCU would have really did amazing to really not only just have a hit video game but also a hit movie would have been amazing. And they could have had something special, but unfortunately just due to the gameplay mechanics being just clunky, frame rate drops, there was just so much underwhelming issues with Iron Man that it just was a disappointment. That's all I really have to say about that. But if you are curious about the history of superhero games such as Iron Man, I say check it out. Play it. You might have some enjoyment if you can get past the clunky controls. Does it hold up? Not really. Is this something that you probably want to take an hour or two to check out? Yeah, why not? Just to see how the history of the MCU games was started? Why not? Check it out. This is Justin from Geeks.com. This has been episode 9 of Superhero Gaming. If you like what we did here, hopefully we earned your subscription. And if we did, my friends, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell. Helps out the algorithm. What did you think of Iron Man? Did you ever play it when you were younger? If you're younger, are you planning to check it out? Later days, my friends. I'll catch you on the next one.